Hey fellow designers, it's Karen of Made by Karen and welcome back to another dressmaking vlog. I recently made this corset style gown for my out of town client and the process was completely virtual. So here are my client's measurements. As you can see, she has a 9-inch waist to hip. On a mermaid gown pattern, the waist to hip is 8 inches. So what I did, I cut it at the hip line and I taped an inch of paper in between so we have a longer waist to hip measurement on the pattern. And then we're gonna look at her measurement. So her waist is a 33, her hips is a 43. So that means her waist on my size chart is a large and her hips are close to a large. So this is how I'm gonna do it. So we're gonna have a large from the waistline, but then in the hips, we're gonna taper it in a little bit. Sorry, my tape is right here. So it's not gonna be quite a large because the large hip on my pattern is 44 inches, but she's 43 inches. So we don't want to do quite a large. We want to do slightly under a large. But then as you go back up to the waist, which is an actual large, you're just going to taper it. And then you're just going to follow the same line of the hip down to the knee area. My client's hip to floor measurement is 33 inches. I always add about, I guess, 5 inches to that because typically if it's a formal gown, you're gonna be wearing heels. They might be 3 or 4 inches and then you wanna add another inch for seam allowance. So I'm gonna say 38 inches from hip to floor. And that's how long I'm gonna allow my pattern to be. Now the mermaid gown pattern is pretty long, so we're not gonna need all of that length. So here's our hip line right here. And I'm gonna measure down 38 inches, actually. I had marked 37 earlier, but we're gonna do 38 to be on the safe side. Why is this not working? It's my pen. And that is about 28 inches from the knee, so I'm gonna mark this that way. And I'm also gonna mark it over here, so then I can kind of see how to fold my pattern. I'm actually just gonna fold the pattern back, because I like to use my patterns multiple times. So a lot of times you're not gonna see me cut my mermaid gown pattern because I don't like having to reprint or use a different copy every single time. And then over here, where is it? So it's not gonna be perfect, but that's how I fold my pattern back. And then I'm gonna place a few pins so I don't accidentally unfold it and forget. And of course you wanna like round the edges. But this is the general shape. And I'm gonna cut front and back the same because as you can see, there's really no train to the dress. It's just floor length. And then up here, since we have marked, I cut slits in my patterns, right? Just enough to allow me to fold them back to wherever I need them. And this is how I reuse the mermaid gown pattern. And I don't have to recut, or trace a whole bunch of different times. So in the waist area, she's a large, so I'm folding back like this. Now I'm just gonna follow my pin marking that I did. You can also do this on the fabric as well. I'm just doing it like this so I can show y'all how it works. I don't worry too much about the folding like from knee to floor because it's a very similar shape, and at that point it's kind of loose anyway, so it doesn't matter as much. I have 5 yards of marigold colored spandex, which is what my client requested. She wanted what she called marigold or antique gold. So this was what I came up with. And I'm just basically, I'm gonna be cutting out 4 skirt pieces. So I'm gonna fold this over twice so that I can cut everything out at once. Because remember, with the mermaid gown pattern, the front and the back pieces are identical. You can cut everything out at once, but then you will need to cut that back piece in half so that you can have a seam down the center back and put a zipper in it. I'm gonna time lapse this because this is gonna take me a while to figure out. It's a little chilly outside today, so I'm gonna be wearing this sweatshirt. This is my friend's clothing line. Her name is Dania Christian. It's called Giselle Audrey Couture. Because your friend's clothing line is designer, okay? And I love this sweatshirt because it's the only thing that I have that goes with these shoes. So I'm gonna be wearing this today. And there's like glitter all over the back. I think I had this hanging in my closet next to a dress that has some glitter on it, but I actually like don't care because I'm just going to get my hair done, that's all. Love it. I try not to wear bonnets to Target, but like, I don't ever see anybody in there that I know, so. I think I'm gonna leave my bonnet on, like. I went to Target to get my relaxer products, and of course they had literally nothing that I was looking for. So I still ended up having to go to the beauty supply, but I did grab some wine and a little Uber gift card for Ariel since it was her birthday.
My little makeup on and everything. I was like, I know her ass is gonna start taking pictures and shit. So let me look cute.
We got our 2 boxes of Dark and Lovely. Ariel said I better bring 2 boxes because I know I got too much damn hair.
Yes. That's the club. I don't be prepared. I'm like, you know what?
Starting to mix the chemicals. So I went to Target first, and they don't sell this. What? I had to go to. They have like a Texlax, like I guess like a mini relaxer, and I was like, nah, I need all the chemicals.
No.
Hey guys, I'm back from getting my relaxer. Let's look at the length. 18 inches, y'all. it's much later than I thought it was gonna be when I got back home, so I guess I'm gonna go work on my dress for a little bit. But the day's like pretty much over with, honestly. Okay, so right now I am connecting or top stitching my two front skirt pieces together. They're identical, so like one's a lining and one's a main fabric, but they're both spandex. So I'm top stitching them together so they can function as one piece. And then when I'm done with this, I'm going to do my cutout and insert my illusion mesh in the split so that it can create that like round, like oval shape for the top of the split. Okay, so now that I've looked at it in the mirror, I'm getting very excited. I feel like this is about to be like perfect. And I always feel like doing the skirt is like a quick win because these dresses are actually like so much work. At least for me, they are. You'll hear designers say like, oh, I can make a dress in 3 hours, 4 hours, blah, blah, blah. That's just not me. And I know that I work slower than a lot of people because of the fact that I record so much content. It's just like become second nature to me to just try to record every time I do something because I know when I finish and post it, everybody's going to be like, do you have a tutorial? Where's the video? Like they want to see something that's going to help them like figure out how to execute it. So that's why I feel like lately I haven't been recording as much because it honestly like does slow me down a lot. And I feel like I owe it to myself as a designer to, you know, continue focusing on developing my craft. Of course, I got to do content because that's a major part of my brand. But then I also, sometimes I just like got to pick up the pace on this stuff. But anyways, I'm very excited about how this is about to come out. I'm gonna cut out the mesh, making sure that it stretches horizontally. So no seam allowance along the bottom because that's how long I want it to be. But then around the outer edges, I'm gonna do like 1/2 inch-ish. Being careful not to cut my gold fabric because that would be a freaking disaster. I can't tell y'all like when I first started sewing how many times I accidentally cut my like dress in the wrong place and ruined some stuff. Okay, so now I'm about to cut this out and leave about a 1/2 inch seam allowance on the inside. So that's how much I cut out. Whenever you're doing cutouts, especially on spandex, you don't ever want to make them too big because it's also going to stretch as well. So it's going to be like even slightly bigger from what you planned. I think I'm going to fold it in. So that there's no like visible raw edges on the other side of the fabric. So pinning on this part is going to be crucial because you got these 2 layers. You don't want anything to be like misaligned or raggedy. So I'm going to just like fold these in by 1/2 inch. And just put a couple pins here because I really don't want my fabric to get misaligned. So I pinned all of my seam allowance back. Kind of like just folded it in towards each other, the fabric, the 2 layers of fabric. And then the next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just kind of go bit by bit and unpin, sandwich this in there, and then repin it, this piece of illusion mesh. So that's gonna be my next step, but this is what we got so far. Okay, I think I'm done pinning. I think I got it perfect this time. Fidgeted with this for a good 2 hours, but I think this is the final positioning. Of course, I had to hold it up to me and see what it was giving. It was giving perfect. So the pinning took quite a while. Then I had to sew it. Here I am sewing with a straight stitch, kind of top stitching it. This whole segment was actually 17 minutes long, but I sped it up by about 30 times as fast. Of course, I used my built-in bra corset pattern for the bodice. This is my first ever video course. It is available on Etsy, and it includes the pattern and a document that gives you links to all the YouTube instructional videos. This is a method that I perfected over the course of 7 years, so if you haven't checked it out, definitely go check it out. I also have a recent YouTube tutorial for how to make your own boning casing, so be sure to check that out as well. I didn't get footage of this, so I'm just inserting a picture to remind you guys that I did do a basic bodice to cover the built-in bra area so that she would have like shoulder covering and chest covering out of illusion mesh. So I cut a basic bodice, but instead of just cutting it normal from shoulder to under bust, I added link to the bust so that it would be long enough to go over the bra, and then I did side darts. So just a little explanation there. And then after I did that was where I started pleating the bust covering. Okay, y'all, this is hard. I've been fidgeting with this for a good full day. As you can see, so I'm doing the pleating for the left boob, and then as you can see, I pleated it by hand all along the armhole area, and I sewed this down already by hand stitched it. This I have kind of pulled over this way, and I have that pinned down, so I got to figure out the best way to sew that down without it being bulky. That is what I hate about pleating and draping. It's so much fabric, like fabric on top of fabric on top of fabric, and if you're not careful, it can look really messy. So I'm about to trim this and then fold it back and then pin it, and hopefully I can sew it so that it's flat and neat looking. This is what it looked like once I trimmed it and folded it back. And then once I had the bust looking the way I wanted to look, then that was when I moved on to doing that under bust draping as well. Okay, so this is what I have ended up with for my final draping look. I'm going to try to hand stitch all of this down around the armholes and the sides, and then I'll be adding my beaded lace and sewing the dress together. So here I am top stitching everything down with the machine. I do recommend using a heavier duty needle because y'all, it's so many layers of fabric to go through, like so many. And here I am pinning on the back pieces. I ran into a few hiccups here, but I won't go into detail. Just know it all worked out. Okay, so I'm pinning the skirt to the dress. This part is going to be slanted down, and I'm not going to scrunch it. I'm going to cut it. But what I've done so far is just like fold it back by like 1/2 inch and pinning it down. If you want more information on this part of the process, you can check out my corset course on Etsy. It's much more detailed than any video you've ever seen on this channel. So that's why I'm not going to go into too much detail right now, but that's what I'm working on at this moment. But one thing that I didn't do in my course was I didn't pin my dress down on any cardboard. So my skirt is spandex, and I drafted my corset portion for non-stretch. So that means the spandex part has to be stretched out a little bit as I'm sewing it on or as I'm pinning it on or whatever. So I pinned my corset down at the seams, and then underneath the skirt, I also have it pinned down just to keep it stretched out as much as it's supposed to be stretched out while I'm putting this spandex on the bottom. Okay, y'all, so this is what I'm doing now. I hope it makes sense. I have my cardboard cutting mat under here so that I was able to pin the dress down. So I'm about to connect the skirt to the bodice. And what I've done is just started folding down my 1/2 inch seam allowance and pinning it into place. I ran a very loose, I guess this is called a slip stitch along the waistline, so I know where the waist of the skirt is supposed to be. So this part is going to be here. This part is going to be cut down. So it's going to slant down like that. I'm not scrunching it. I'm literally just going to cut it. And then underneath here, I got the bodice pinned all the way down to the bottom. And I'm going to be pinning the skirt along the bottom edge of the bodice as well, so that I'll know how I'm able to cut it. And then I'm gonna top stitch. Okay, so we're going for something a little like this, where the skirt starts at the waistline here and then slopes down. And I'm about to cut and I'm like really scared. So, geez, this is actually really scary. I need more pins. So here I am gluing on stones. I got my stones from Amazon. I love these stones. They're beautiful. I'll leave the link in the description box. And of course, I'm using my Gorilla Glue gun and hot Gorilla Glue sticks. It's the best. So the closer I got to the end of the project, I didn't really have as much time to record because I was down to the wire on time to be able to get the dress shipped out to my client by the time that she needed it. But oh my goodness, this dress proved to be so much more work than I thought it would be. And there were just so many like last minute details that I didn't realize I was gonna have to worry about. On the butt area, for example, the beading extended below the waistline, so I had to worry about removing the beading from under the fabric so you couldn't see it, and that took so much time. I ran out of stones, so I had to use a different type of stone, and those did not agree with the Gorilla Glue, so I had to start sewing them on. And I also had to cut darts in the bodice underneath the dress, because since I closed it with a zipper instead of having it be corset loops, it didn't have enough room for the hips. So I also had to cut darts after the fact and secure those so there wouldn't be raw edges. It was so much. I wish I would have had time to record how to make this little shoulder action, but like I said, I was running very low on time, so I really didn't have time to record it. I will do a separate tutorial. Let me know if y'all want to see it. But these little pieces, including adding them, plus putting lace, plus doing stones, at least 5 hours. Please, designer friends, do not let anybody make y'all feel bad about charging what you're going to charge for this style of dress. It's so much work. So once you're done with the dress, you're still not done with working. You then have to put the dress on a mannequin. I had to steam it because I had to take final photos and I wanted to make sure that it looked decent for the pictures. So here I am doing that. And then since I was shipping the dress, I also needed to have proof that I made the dress to measurements. So I made this little document in Canva to send to my client. Basically, I wrapped the measuring tape around the mannequin, pin it in place just so that I can show proof that I made the dress to measurements based on what she sent me. And I just do the basics, the major things that are going to really affect how the dress fits: bust, waist, hip, length in certain areas. And that is your, personal insurance to make sure that you show you did the job that you agreed to do. I also send the client final photos of the dress so that they can give it the thumbs up before I pack it up and ship it out. And here I am doing the packaging. This is not the dress bag I usually use. I usually order them in bulk from Wawa, but I had to get this one from Walmart because I had ran out. I just get your basic cardboard box, and then I put some pretty paper inside of it. I got yellow because it matched her dress. And then you go ahead and pack it and make sure you tape it and secure it, and then off to FedEx you go. And I say FedEx because do not take your expensive fancy dresses to USPS or UPS. In my opinion, they cannot be trusted. FedEx all the way. Thank you guys so much for coming on this dressmaking journey with me. This was initially supposed to be a weekly vlog, and the videos ended up spanning across a time period of like a month and a half between me having so much more work to do on the dress than I thought it would be, getting sick in the midst of it, and having to make sure that I got my corset course videos out on time. It was quite a journey. I thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.